Good, good. Well done. So, I also do lectures at Florida Blue locations, Blue Cross Blue Shield. And I was, of all places, in Estero. Most of you have heard this story, but for you new guys, and someone had asked me to tell this story in class yesterday, I think. We had a new batch of students. So I'm doing this lecture, and we're talking about balance because there's a lot that goes into balance. It's not just something that we take it for granted, but there's a lot that goes into it, from our brain to our feet to the receptors, blah, 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 blah. So I was telling them one of the greatest exercises you can do is sitting down in slow motion. How many of us sit in a day? Of course, everybody raises their hand. And I said, good, now sit in slow motion every chance you get. All right, don't be weird about it, but sit in slow motion. Okay, and you can always, most of us have been in situations where we've had to give a lecture or some kind of speech, and you know who's paying attention and you know who's not. This couple was paying attention, all right? So, lecture's over, everybody goes home. A year later, I'm in the same location, all right? And I'm talking about sitting in slow motion. 4, 3, 2, no plop. Everybody knows the plop, right? Down and, So that's the goal, is just trying to get people not to plop, right? Sitting down in slow motion. Guess who walks through the door? This fella and his wife. And he sees me, and I'm just wrapping up, talking to students, giving out business cards, whatever, selling books. And he sees me, and he gives me a big wave, and he comes walking over. Now, I'm not going to attempt it. I tried it yesterday. I failed miserably, but I want you to think about that Bronx, New York accent. Okay. So you got it? Yeah. Now, hear my words, put it in that accent. Again, I tried it yesterday, I failed miserably. I'm not doing that to myself again. So he comes up, and she is trailing behind him with the purse, and I see her body language. She is just like, he comes running over, he goes, oh my gosh, I gotta tell you, that sitting in slow motion, it works. I've been doing it at church. And I said, well, where do you go to church? And St. Agnes or whatever, so, oh, you're Catholic. Well, I grew up with a lot of Catholic friends. I'm Protestant, so I went to a lot of Mass. I knew Hail Mary. I don't know if I can say it now, but I used to be able to say it. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys are up and down constantly. He goes, yes, I know. And I was sitting in slow motion. And finally, after about the third week of me doing this, the lady next to me looks at me and she goes, what are you doing? And I said, no, you got to do this thing. I was listening to this guy. He was telling me about leg strength, about improving my balance. And he was telling us we got to sit in slow motion. She goes, oh my gosh, I need that. So she started doing it. And then the wife goes, oh my gosh, the whole row at church sits in slow motion now. So we call that a win in my line of business.